So there aren't many areas kind of more passionate and more loyal than soccer, football, depending where you're from. Although, again, as an Englishman, I can't help thinking, actually, it's when they sacked the former England coach who was doing so disastrously with them that actually turned it around. On that video there, you also saw lots of kind of stats being thrown out, how many Facebook fans they have, how many posts, how many pages. I'm going to kind of come to some stats in a little bit, because I think we're all struggling with a little bit of what that actually means. So why engage? Because digital's altering consumers' media relationships. This is a study that was actually taken just before the last World Cup. And you see the response to the question, how do you keep up to date with the latest World Cup, and how do you intend to keep up for the next? So kind of TV's not too much of a surprise there. Maybe a bit of an anomaly. Newspapers becoming more important. Radio increasing in importance. And again, this may be to do with where the World Cup's being held in the time zone, Japan and Germany. But then you get to the digital channels, and you can just see how it changes. The internet, massive growth. SMS, massive growth. Mobile video, massive growth. I think it would be very, very interesting if somebody actually did this research now and asked which primary channels people were going to be using. I think you'd probably get evolution. You'd need a few more bars, probably. You'd need peer and social as well. So why engage? Well, again, because of the next generation of consumers. How many people in the room are familiar with Robin Dunbar? Okay. He's a British anthropological psychologist. He comes up with what's referred to as Dunbar's number. He came up with it, so he gets to call it. His number is 150, and what that is, in his opinion, the amount of meaningful relationships which one human being can maintain. Sorry, if you're number 151 on my list, you're an acquaintance. You're not a friend. However, if you then translate that and you ask digital natives today, how many friends have you got, then the line changes. Facebook friends, MySpace friends, school friends, people you IM with, they don't differentiate quite as hard between the two. The real world and the virtual world are coming together. So the idea is that if you're engaging with them, they're going to advocate you, and advocates sell brands. Here you can see recommendation from family and friends has the greatest influence on brand choice, 21% higher than TV advertising alone. So the driver to engage is incredibly strong and can be incredibly successful. This again was one of our winners from last year. It was actually a campaign from the BBC World Service Trust funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and it was to try and encourage the use of condoms within India. And the problem they were trying to get over was that people in India just didn't talk about condoms, the idea being if you can't go into a chemist and ask for some condoms, you're probably not going to use them. So they were trying to change perception entirely. They integrated themselves into the fabric of society. They did a number of things, ringtone campaign. India obviously has a massive mobile market, very interested, and that was very, very successful. They also replaced the word condom over other words used within popular culture in India, therefore allowing people to kind of say it out loud and get over the inhibition, and they're hopefully use more condoms. And as you see on the bottom, condom sales, got government channels, grew by 5 million in 6 months. So obviously doing something very well. So I was talking about kind of hits and Facebook pages and things like that earlier and what's good. And it's kind of interesting. The boss, Charlie, was having a chat to Facebook, international CEO Blake Chandley, a little while ago. And Blake came up and he said, I think Coke have got 4 million Facebook fans. And Charlie was like, oh, is that good? And Blake said, I don't know, I think so. And it kind of highlights a problem that we're kind of absolutely deluged with numbers within this industry, but we're never actually quite sure what is good. How can you tell your clients something's a success if you're not quite sure what the benchmark actually is? So one of the things that we've done is use our product Cream, which holds all the Festival of Media shortlisted case studies and another 2,500 examples from around the world, and actually run a little bit of an analysis through it to see if we can find out what good is in the world of hits. And here's got what we found out. A number of different successful campaigns. The Doritos one is the Super Bowl advertising. And we came up with a number, it's around 846,000. So take a picture, If you do a campaign that has some video on it and you're getting some hits on YouTube, if you hit over 846,000 with your brand work, you can show that to your client and say, I've done well. However, we have to kind of keep things in perspective. I'm going to show you a little clip and then I'm going to ask you a question. All say, ah. How many people do you think have viewed that on YouTube? Who thinks it has been viewed 10 million times? Okay, 20 million? More than 20 million? Okay, 58.7 million times. Kind of 10-second clip of a panda sneezing. That's engagement, that's fantastic, that's great content. So you can see here where we're getting kind of 1 million, 2 million, it's well done, but we've got a long, long way to go. We did a similar thing as well. We thought it was interesting because looking at online competition entry as well. So the average we came out there was just over 14,000, which doesn't sound that impressive. Walker's up the top there, that was Walker's Crisps Do Us a Flavour competition. When they asked the British public to actually create a new flavour of crisps for them. I can't remember if Cajun Squirrel or Builder's Breakfast was the winner. That was fantastically engaging, but everybody else you can see is really down in that 0 to 100,000 mark. So clearly a long way to go. Again, please take a photo or I can give you this slide out of the deck and you can use it to prove your case with your clients. So, benefit. My favourite gym. Another quick quote, and this was Nick Bryan last year. If advertising generates awareness, utility generates advocacy. Advocacy trumps awareness time and time again. This is very true. This is a recent example from Canada where there was a garbage strike in Toronto, and Glad, who make bin bags, reacted really quickly, got out there, helped people. So people were getting their trash, it was piling up, it was beginning to stink. Glad went out, gave their bags up and saw a consumer need and met it. Fantastic bit of PR for them, got a lot of coverage. Another one, Hyundai in the US, recognised that Joe the plumber, as I believe the common man in the US is now called, was having a very tough time economically. They said, that's fine, we'll buy your car back, no questions asked, if you're made redundant, and we'll cover the depreciation for you. It's a fantastic consumer benefit. So, we're going to go up to a macro level, and this is a bit of a messy chart, but I'll kind of explain it for you. 2008, 2000, 2009 and 2010, what you're looking at is the growing budget deficits in the countries down the right-hand side. And the good news is, the little triangular cone on the end, the red one, even though it looked horrible in 2009, is advertising spend. So we're up again. So we're looking all right. Now, why is that kind of important? Well, there's kind of a couple of reasons, really. It's creating what we're calling a public service gap and a huge opportunity for brands. So as expenditure on public service provision as a percentage of GDP falls, so as the government reins in the spending, in the UK they're giving it to the banks, doesn't seem quite fair, might be doing the same elsewhere, there's this gap opening up for brands to actually provide utility. So if you as a brand can see a consumer need that's not being met by the government, you can step in, provide it, and generate a lot of fantastic PR, a lot of great earned media, and also generate a lot of advocacy as well. Again, we did a little analysis through Cream, and we were already seeing it in 2007, and you can see it growing in 2008 and again in 2009. And it's part of the kind of growing service model. It's how brands are choosing to engage. It's very simple. We're talking dog food here. It doesn't get more simple than that. On the left-hand side, kind of go back in time, buy dog food or your dog dies. That was kind of the message. Towards the middle, we're kind of saying, buy our dog food, it will keep your dog a bit more healthy. It tastes quite nice. I don't know how they know dog food tastes nice, by the way. Does anyone know that? No? Okay. And finally, at the end, we're moving up to a service model. So what we've got there is actually a social network site where single people with dogs can go to meet up for dog walking dates. So basically, using your dog to meet people. Just one example within one industry of how the service model is changing.